Your team doesn't trust your system, they only trust you, and that's a real problem. Here's the deal. If you built a successful business on personal competence, you unknowingly created a fragile system. Your team watches you constantly. They wait for your decisions. They escalate everything because the architecture around them is invisible or non-existent. The business runs, but only when you're running it. And the weight of that is crushing you, stealing family time, making you wonder if the real problem is your leadership capacity. But here's what most founders miss. This isn't about hiring better people or working harder. It's about recognizing that your strengths become your ceiling. You succeeded because of your competence, but now you're stuck because of it. I've coached dozens of founders who built multi-million-dollar companies that couldn't survive a 2-week vacation. Capable teams, solid revenue, but the minute the founder stepped back, cracks appeared. Not because the people failed, because the system was never designed to function without the founder's constant input. One CE told me, "I'm watching capable people struggle inside a system that doesn't support them, and I know it's my responsibility." That weighs on me more than the operational chaos. That's where we start. In the next 12 minutes, I'm going to show you why competent founders hit a ceiling that incompetent ones never reach, and how to break through that by shifting from personal heroics to system architecture. You've been operating inside a maturity trap. Your business is a level 3 or 4 operation held together by a level 5 operator. You. The gap is killing you, and it's limiting everyone around you. But the fix isn't more hiring, better tools, or grinding harder. The fix is architecture. Point number 1, your team sees you as the decision maker, not as their leader. And that's a design problem, not a people problem. Michael Gerber, author of The E-Myth Revisited, said, "The problem isn't that your people can't do the work, it's that your business is designed around you doing it." That's the trap. You didn't build a business, you built a dependency system where you're the single point of failure. Your team escalates everything to you because they don't know what would happen without you. They're not incompetent, they're operating in a vacuum. Jim Collins talks about first who, then what? Hire great people, then figure out what to do with them. But here's the caveat nobody tells you. You can hire A players all day long, and they'll still default to you if the system doesn't support decision making without you. This is what I call the competence ceiling. You're optimizing everything around yourself. You became irreplaceable, and now your business can't scale past your personal capacity. The weight you feel isn't operational, it's architectural. You're carrying the entire decision-making load because no one else has a framework to carry it with you. I worked with a founder who had a VP of operations. Sharp guy, 15 years of experience, but he wouldn't make a vendor decision without approval. Not because he lacked skill, because there was no documented procurement process. No guardrails, no confidence that his decision would align with the founder's invisible criteria. We built a simple framework, vendor evaluation scorecard, decision thresholds, and a one-page how do we choose partners doc. Within 30 days, he was making calls confidently. The founder's decision load dropped by 40%. So the question isn't why can't my team step up? The question is, what system would allow them to? Point number 2, your team doesn't need to trust you more. They need to trust the system you've built, and right now, that system doesn't exist. Daniel Pink, in Drive, showed that people need 3 things to perform at their best: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. But here's what most founders miss. Autonomy without architecture is chaos. Your team wants to own decisions, but they can't if the rules of the game are invisible or constantly changing. Right now, your team operates in what I call the hero-dependent culture. Every decision funnels back to you because there's no shared framework for making calls independently. Think about your vision, mission, values, and human element. Do they function as a decision filter, or are they just wall art? If your team can't use them to resolve conflicts, prioritize work, or push back bad ideas, the decoration. Michael Porter's value chain shows us that every business has supporting activities and primary activities. Supporting activities are your infrastructure, processes, culture. Primary activities are service delivery, operations, and the work that generates revenue. If your supporting activities are weak, your primary activities will always bottleneck at you. Here's what that looks like in real life. The operations manager I mentioned earlier, he was avoiding responsibility. He was avoiding misalignment with an invisible standard only the founder could see. The moment we made the invisible visible, documented the criteria, clarified the decision authority, he stepped up immediately. If your team is waiting for you to decide, it's not a trust issue, it's a system issue. Once you accept that, the fix becomes obvious. You make the invisible visible. Point number 3. Most founders think that vision, mission, values, and human element are corporate fluff. They're wrong. These are the load-bearing walls of your organization. Here's the test. Can your team use your vision, mission, values, and human element to make a tough call without asking you? If not, they're decorative. These are tied closely to the many other components of what I call the pyramid of purpose. but I'm specifically focusing on your target market and overall business strategy right now. Let's break it down. Strategy. How will we win? This isn't your marketing plan, it's your competitive positioning. Example, we don't compete on price, we compete on process maturity and long-term value. Target market. Who are we serving? Not everyone. Be specific. If you're an IT service provider, maybe it's companies at level 3 to 4 maturity who are ready to scale but stuck in reactive mode. Vision. What does success look like at scale? This is the big picture. Example, a fabric of strong businesses built on discipline, not desperation. Mission. What are we here to do? This is your purpose statement. Example, take clients to the next level by engineering sustainable systems. Values. What won't we compromise? These are your non-negotiables. Integrity, continuous improvement, no heroics, no mean people. Human element. What kind of people do you want working in your company and standing shoulder to shoulder with you? When you document this clearly, your team can filter decisions through it. A client asking for work outside of your scope, the mission says no. A vendor pushing a discount that compromises quality, your values say no. A team member wants to shortcut a process, your strategy says no. The clarity you've been carrying in your head needs to live outside of you. That's not about delegation, it's about de-risking the business. Once the architecture is clear, execution becomes repeatable. Point number 4, hiring won't fix this. Process will. Ram Charan and Larry Bossidy in Execution, The Discipline of Getting Things Done, found that companies who scaled successfully didn't just hire great people, they built cultures of execution. That means clear processes, documented standards, and accountability baked into the workflows. Michael Gerber said it best in The E-Myth. If your business depends on you, you don't own a business, you own a job. The way out is to turn your business into something that works without you. Processes are how you encode your expertise into the system. They're not bureaucracy, they're repeatability. And repeatability equals profit and value. Here's how this shows up in the real world. Level 1, user-driven. Whoever yells the loudest gets the help. Pure chaos. Knowledge isn't shared because there is no knowledge, just firefighting. Level 2, problem-driven. Reactive firefighting. Knowledge silos exist. You're not random anymore, but you're still bleeding. Level 3, request-driven. Standards exist but aren't enforced. You have a ticket system, you have a process document somewhere, but nobody follows it consistently. Level 4, service-driven. Efficiency, documented, scalable. This is where repeatability lives. Level 5, strategic. Innovation. Systems self-correct. The business learns and adapts without you having to intervene. Your team can't operate at level 5 if your processes are stuck at level 2. One founder I worked with was drowning in reoccurring issues. Same problems, different week. We implemented a simple root cause analysis process. 5 whys plus corrective action log. Within 60 days, reoccurring tickets dropped 35%. Not because the team got smarter, because the system got smarter. Every time you solve a problem personally, you're training your team to come back to you next time. Every time you document the solution and build it into a process, you're training the system to solve it without you. That's the shift from heroic leadership to sustainable stewardship. Point number 5, if your business can't run without you for 2 weeks, you don't have a business, you have a dependency. Jim Collins calls it the flywheel effect. Momentum that sustains itself once built. Right now, your absence creates panic, not because your team is weak, but because the system depends on you to be the shock absorber for every decision, conflict, and uncertainty. Here's the shift. Instead of being the answer, become the architect of the system that produces answers. Use the balanced scorecard, Kaplan and Norton's framework, to measure progress in 4 areas. Financial. Are we profitable without your constant oversight? Customer. Are clients satisfied based on the system, not your personal touch? Internal process. Can we deliver consistently without you? Learning and growth. Is the team involved or just waiting for direction? I work with a CEO who couldn't take a vacation without his phone blowing up. Every day, multiple times a day. We built a decision matrix, documented his top 10 reoccurring decisions, trained his leadership team to handle 80% of them. First vacation in 3 years, 0 calls. Not because the team changed, because the architecture changed. The goal isn't to become unnecessary, it's to become optionally necessary. You should be free to work on your business, not in it. That freedom doesn't come from working harder, it comes from working smarter. And that starts with the system. Look, if you're feeling the weight of being the single point of failure in your business, you're not alone and you're not broken. You just need to shift from personal competence to system architecture. That's exactly what I help founders do. If you want to talk through how this applies to your business, reach out. Let's build something that doesn't collapse the minute you step away. Here's what we've covered. 1. Your competence created a dependency trap. 2. Trust flows from systems, not personality. 3. Vision, mission, values, and the human element are your architectural blueprint. 4. You don't need more people, you need better processes. 5. The real test is whether your business can survive your absence. You're not the problem, the system is. And once you see that, the fix becomes clear. Build the architecture that allows your team to lead, decide, and execute without you. Now that you understand why your team only trusts you and not the system, you need to know how to build the architecture that changes that. In previous videos, I've covered frameworks that turn invisible standards into executable systems. They show you exactly how to document your decision-making processes, embed them into your culture, and finally step out of the bottleneck. I put the link to them in the description below. If you learned something here, you really should check them out next. Ciao.